Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Luther Bravo, and today I want to talk to you guys about a political topic, concept. The personal is political. That comes from an essay, The Personal is Political, the Women's Liberation Movement Classic, with new exploratory introduction by Carol Hanisch, which came out February 1969, and it's October 2025 as of this recording, and I'm telling you to go read it because I like it. I like it. I really do enjoy the concept, and especially, I think it's very important and applicable to everything that's going on here in the United States in 2025. That the personal is political, and I think it's something that concept maybe we need to revisit a little bit more, a little deeper as a community. So that's kind of what that's not kind of that is what I'm here to do today. So Carol Hanisch, she uses this essay as a way to basically call in other women from her movement, and basically say that they need to change their approaches to make this movement more sustainable. And in that, she talks about how they need to address issues that they themselves are facing in their personal lives, and how, because that impacts how they're able to show up for work, show up for these movements, show up in good faith, and amongst other things, show up for their family, and not burn out, and still be able to live. She really go read it. I can't emphasize that enough, because this is not a summary. I'm not doing any direct quotations or quoting here, but it's a really good essay. Again, check it out. And my goal, one of the things, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but one of the things that Carol really talks about, and obviously hones in as it is the title of the essay, is that there are no personal problems, there are political problems. No, all personal problems are political. So by the end of this video, I really want you to be able to sit with that a little bit more and be able to see that more in your everyday life, and just how that impacts you, how it impacts people your community, just things of that nature. And so that way, as we all continue to live throughout these times, maybe we could be a bit more informed when we're having these conversations with each other, right? So my first example of the personal being political is not having enough food to eat. That's a real personal problem, right? It doesn't impact your town, it doesn't impact your neighborhood, it doesn't impact your neighbor if you yourself do not have enough food to eat, right? But let's say, for example, you are working and you're paying rent and you're paying for transportation, and after you pay for those things, you don't have enough money to afford food every single day. That's a problem, right? That's not a problem that's really at no fault of your own. You're doing everything right, and you shouldn't have to, what I mean? You are working, you should be able to make enough money to be able to sustain yourself, be able to afford to get places, to get to work, and to have a roof over your head, and to be able to eat. Like, that is something that is a result. You not being able to do that is a result of not just a policy failure, but multiple policy failures over who knows how long of time, which would require equal effort in undoing that and correcting that, right? So then it takes you to your next step, which is like, okay, what are our patch solutions? What are our options here to help me out now that I'm in this scenario, right? Does that look like doing gig work to get extra money on the side, getting a part-time job, getting a second job, getting a third job to be able to afford food? Does it look like going to a food bank? Does it look like applying to government aid, food stamps, to be able to afford food, right? These are things you have to consider, and these are things that's not available to all of us equally, and that's based off of who's running your local politics, right? Do they believe that people who can't afford food, do they believe that those people should eat? Because if they don't, there might not be food banks, right? Or maybe they do believe that, but they're not in the area where they have the funds to provide food for those people. There's a lot of moving factors here that you would have to consider, unfortunately, if you were in that situation, to figure it out and to be able to get yourself something to eat. and it's a political problem, but it's ultimately a personal problem. And how you resolve that is going to really depend on what resources you have. Those resources are going to depend on the policies that are in place, right? It's a big circle, guys, right? Another example would be over the winter there was a lot of talk here in the local area, well, my local area, right over the bridge. There's right there, Philadelphia, and they were trying to move. There were talks of moving the 76ers arena from where it is to Chinatown, which is, you know, in the center of, like, you know, main city and everything like that. It's a real busy area. So obviously you try to build a big arena there, you're going to be kicking people out of their homes that people have been in, some of them for generations. You're going to be, you know, increasing the rental prices for the people that are able to stay. You're going to be, you know, doing the same thing, just, you know, displacing business owners because there's going to be less spaces for business. There's going to, you know, so on and so forth. It's going to be a lot of displacement. It's not going to be good. And then, you know, just to add this on top of it, right, the SEPTA system, which, you know, at the time, which was something that they were, you know, championing. They were like, you know, like, more people would be able to take the subway or, you know, take the path in. And no, they're not, because it's a mess. The whole thing's a mess. But anyway, that's something that was a policy that would have directly, if fully implemented, not just approved by the committee, because it was approved by the committee and then it got rescinded because of all of the backlash and community collective action. But say that didn't happen and it did go through, all of these people that, you know, I was just talking about, their families, their businesses displaced. Where are they going to go, right? How are they going to afford to get there, to be there, right? And ultimately, thanks to people reaching out and speaking up and saying, I'm not for this, I'm not liking this, as a 76ers fan, as a Philadelphian, as a whatever, tax-paying person, you know, individual that lives, no, I'm not for it, right? And that was very powerful. So I think it is very important for us to understand that the personal is political, because not only does it inform us of, you know, what our options are, where we're at, why things are happening, and kind of alleviates that nagging why when you're in tight situations, number one. But two, it helps you figure out what you're going to do next. Where do you go next, right? What are your options? And are those options sustainable? Are those options feasible? Are those long shots? You have to know that, right? That's all crucial information for you when you have a personal problem, which I'm sure you know, right? So, you know, it's one of the things I wanted to that's why I really wanted to talk about in this video here, that personal problems are political problems, that just about, and, you know, not interpersonal problems, I mean, sometimes that too, but just, you know, what I was talking about, like being able to afford a house, being able to have food, being able to get an education, being able to, you know, drink clean water, breathe clean air, being able to walk outside at night. All of these things, right? Your ability to do them or not do them all directly relates to who you are in your personal life, in your everyday life, and what policies are in place because of people like you exist, right? On a real broader term, right? So if that means, right, like right now, if that means being nervous because maybe you're an immigrant, or maybe you're trans, or maybe you're black, or maybe you're a woman, or maybe you're a child, or maybe you're poor, or maybe, no, and no matter who you are, right, whoever you are, whatever you do, those come with set of problems. Those come with, that's life, you know what I mean? Everyone has obstacles that we face, and a lot of those things are going to be political, because we live in a world where your gender determines how much money you make. Your race determines if people think you're a criminal or not. Your, you know, how neat your hair is determines if people think you have money or not. People, you know, your weight determines if people think you're, greedy or not, lazy or not, all of these different things. And it's important for us to understand that and accept that as reality when we're planning to do things right in practice, right? Because I think sometimes, especially when we're talking about theory, we're talking about a perfect world, and we don't live in a perfect world. So I'm Luther Bravo. This has been my take on The Personal is Political. Please, just the concept, not the full essay. Please go check it out. It's a fantastic work. So yeah, I'm Luther Bravo, and I'll see you in the next one.